midnight. Yo, we got him, yo. We got him. Yo, we got him. Yeah, man. Just pull the rope on the guillotine, midnight. Oh, man. Let's take it right now, man. So the darkness went on up right now. Yo, we still here.
Council with etheric elders in the waters of Nun. Reclined on the sun with my foot on the moon. Watching goddess on earth act like witches on brooms. Sipping milk and the honeydew and triple black boom. Touchdown, not subordinate but God sent. I'm the red and blue of Superman and Clark Kent. From beyond the sun to earth, Moabite marksman. Tongue double-edged scimitar, stay sharpened. Flag in the earth first, set up the post. Sea is the land, now the flag's in the boat. Back on the land, follow tears, the trail never ends. I'll be on inquisitionists, murdered my friends. Stole our culture, sell it to us as trends. Negro, blacks, and colors, stay out the culture blend. Touch your hair, tell you the style they liking. But jack your energy here on the neck back spiking. Off the heat of the devil, walking rebel. Why run when police come? Swinging his billy club, drunk off Seagrams. Invisible candle magic, suspect they see none. Pull torch, have him arrested for treason and under. I want bar numbers, put a lien on a straw man that's breaching his oath. Call Orishas, tell all the coon, go for his throat. Pickaxe, a cow tongue on parchment paper. Sprinkle clothes, put a hex on the MC, drought your flows. Take the water from your throat like doctors draining knees. Cause you use ankle weights, bone soft like cheese. Fart stink niggas eating things, that's deceased. More rotten than the plan, the clan's plotting on me. Why? Knowledge as a money has me a millionaire. Giving knowledge away like I don't care. Christians tell me find Jesus before judgment comes. He's on the corner selling crack and killing his sons. Zombie brainwashed blacks are still blaming the guns. Point out Catholic priests, man, I'm blaming the nuns who killed Tatum Toba Chung. I'm blaming the streets who killed Prophet Drew Ali. I'm blaming a breach, same for General Khalid and El Haj Malik. All killed cause nationality was in their speech. Things to make you go and thought to art. Happy-go-lucky rappers fall past north in infinite depths. Might as well hold your breath and let's see how far this rabbit hole goes to the left. I broke out the chamber, Allah's come in danger. I self-law a master coming with my angels. Iron Sheik, immaculate without the manger. Alpha Hexen, rap boule strangers. Broke out the chamber, Allah's come in danger. I self-law a master coming with my angels. Iron Sheik, immaculate without the manger. Alpha Hexen, rap boule strangers. With cell phones, big brother is closer than steps. Most flush less, but inhale chem streams from jets. Even this god used to binge drink, Schlitz not Becks. Never braids, but waves and cameos without the step. No die, never had slits in the brows of the eye. I got conscious, no arrogance or acting obnoxious. 144,000, I'm saying less than that. With all these zombies with big ass shades and big ass hats. Dressing like Lil Wayne, man, just baggy as slacks. Finger a dyke in the shotgun, then crabby a gats. She goes down for prostitution and find it grand. You for possession and for not washing your hands. It's still love, truth, peace, but put down the peace. Why we don't need them when we got justice and freedom. Your mind's a mess, trust me, I think you're possessed. Let me unhex you with a mudra of Baphomet, and that won't work unless you know being supreme. No chest has the Solomon crest, always frontin' warm in the Averex. My lowest form of thought is your apex. Iron Sheik X from the Mosque of Malcolm. Devil see me and get wiped without the powder talcum. Raise my sword, keep swinging, no meaning. Flow deep, call me Aquamarine men, raising the lost city of Atlantis. When I speak as pictures, I'm painting on your mental canvas. I broke out the chamber, Allah's come in danger. I self-law a master coming with my angels. Iron Sheik, immaculate without the manger. Alpha Hexen, rap boule strangers. Broke out the chamber, Allah's come in danger. I self-law a master coming with my angels. Iron Sheik, immaculate without the manger. Alpha Hexen, rap boule strangers.
Roots K, hello. Hello, Mike Flow, fly, fresh, and responsible. One love divine, and I bring salutations. Power, sing, yes, it's all in the nations. Numbers and so flow, we heard in the streets. The monster in me, it don't accept defeat. Launched them a classic motion. Picture this ride wave across the ocean. Explosion, riddle them soft emotions. Encounter the master's truth revealed. You could not divide our stanza, signed and sealed. Roots K and I resonate. Airwaves, so pay back for your memory. Ancient days, many ignore the answer. Stay a slave, I'm free, it's a melody. Bring more love in my tune, cut jealousy. Couldn't get ahead of me. Real line legacy, my flow see magic, but Mikey a wizard. We fly fresh and responsible. Man, I get it in unstoppable. Something like Usain Bolt, I'm ready on the start line. Moving past slow ones, I'm here like it's my time. Let's go. Fists in the air, yes, classy rebel. Bass clap, move crowds like you rock a fellow. Horror female, let's get into detail. Sound, power, purpose, words not to fail, but to elevate. Raise chi, concentrate. It's real energy. Lay law, rise the stakes. I boom speakers, ignite kundalini ethers. Move hips, twist spines. I'm your yoga teacher. Divine dance eyes, walk over me and greet ya. I love doing me, sing prophecy. Band symphony, serenade the memory banks. Explore the rhymes, live for the cause and grind. Yeah, work hard to be the boss, taking charge. Keep cool in the streets, real easy on that club hop shit. Roots, heat mics, ride a new wave, bang, who could do it like this? I am who I say I am. Roots live from the dot, and I say I am the realest. Those connect to know and feel it. Roots flow in your face, no Victoria's Secret. Mirror, mirror, reflection is beauty. You ain't ready for a revolution, please excuse me. Know where you stand, cause my hand could get grand just to stand on the land fire. Herakuti, bring back the order, ordained by the universe. Many think the earth cursed. Karma releasing her pain like a hoarder. Never will you stop, I eliminate borders. Soul is immortal. Open my mic on your conscience, exemplify omniscience. Ready for the world, no nonsense. I know about growing up in projects, and life ain't a joke. We moving up, progress, progress, progress. Yes, yes, yes. It's me.
More and more, I am being guided to study more. More and more, I am being guided to study more.
See my Moorish flag flying like my Moorish cape. I'm not a Jew, but Jerusalem has a Moorish gate. 30 more's unreal. Call them Moorish fakes. Pull at Negroes' emotions like some Moorish drakes. If you really want to know, go to a Moorish meeting. You better have a pen and pad, cause when active Moors speaking, it's wake up time. You won't find the Moorish sleeping. Crescent moon and star in the sky, that's a Moorish beacon. The way I navigate beats, call me Moorish Seaman. My nationality, I have the power, Moorish He-Man. Moorish turban, I'm loyal, don't mistake me for bourbon. Moorish master MC surgeon, not a rapping servant. He's suburban, Moors are so determined to solve the Negro problem, Moorish white man's burden. Moors beans conquer, white rice, that's a Moorish plate. Black or more fish on the hook, that's a Moorish fate. Moorish estate before chapter 48, ancestral line. All secrets taken away. Moors are not clandestine. Euro-Masons go to back rooms or washrooms, returning black robes and hoods with cloaks. Moorish costume. You won't have it twisted once the Moorish got you. Desensitize the facts so the truth won't shock you. Some people call it awesome. I'm making it awful. Liar, lawyer, pushing the legal when Moors are lawful. Creatures give you ghost spell, she bring Moorish gospel. Moors are ancient, they even found a fez on a fossil. Even Bruce Lee knew he wore shirts with aunts. Even MC Hammer knew pantaloons are Moorish pants.
I understand, man. I understand the nationality is the order of the I understand.
I've seen and heard Moorish things in this realm I had to fathom. In shadow eyes inside hoods, Moorish master phantoms. Smoke swarms, swirl in circle 7 forms. You can stay close, I'm gonna stay far from the norm. Tori and Astro, travel on terror, no license. No jail cell, no cuffs, no sirens. No watching over my back, trying not to get stabbed. No fence hopping, windows popping. Want me nab, Moorish monk status. Bad up any youth who's baddest. With knowledge of self, Moorish Quran quotes, gun in my belt. Moorish naga, not a nigga. No shots fired. Telling officers they're servants and just hired. Easing back into his cruiser. Popo ego bruiser. Tables turn, Moorish status got him like the loser. It's a shame, many hear it, but only a few wake up from the dream state and do what Moors do. Fearing their own Moorish star, peasant, L-Bay. I'm staying Moorish, I don't care what blacks say. You can tell me, many Moors are running a racket. Or show me pics proving Drew Ali is a Moorish faggot. No matter how bad it looks, I'm not dropping this habit. Moorish Neo, wake up the streams telling me follow white rabbits, jumping, stumbling blocks. They call Holy Trinity. Moorish mind, soul, and heart expressing divinity. I'm Illuminati, illuminated, great seal more. All seeing eye from high, being the being I. Stand on squares and compass as Allah prepares the minds to handle demonic candles, devilish stairs, casting spells. So I can abandon and give him my power. For Grand Dragon commanded from a Moorish tower. Yelling Alfred Pipe quotes, don't be surprised to catch me. Drawing Moorish pentagrams, reading Madame Blavatsky.
But I'm a Moor. No. I'm a Moor. I'm got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And they don't never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am. God damn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm a Moor. So if I say it, if I mean it, and if I mean it, generally, I say, are you a Muslim? Yes. But I know my roots, and I ain't Kunta Kinte.
Salute. Highest honors to the prophet. It's so real. I like this. I love how this sounds. Yo, we needed a prophet and one was sent. So from all our sinful ways, we can repent, make things better for the children out us. I know good citizens that got their hands cuffed by color of authority and color of law. We're not improper person, you're outside of law or outlaw. They might call you ruthless because you're acting like Orpa and don't know what the truth is. Making claims you do, but caught in emotions, being parts of movements that lacks motion. Activity is nil, null, and void. Haven't mastered Earth, but you're cosmic and right asteroids. Waiting for the mothership, that's macabre. Thinking that the mother isn't also the father. Thinking that our son is the only one. Thinking young men are killed with only guns. We got it so twisted with pretzel thoughts. Talk big by yourself, but when you're in courts, pulled over by piggies giving them jurisdiction. To kill a racist cracker talk is the purest fiction. All y'all do is talk it and don't walk it. Then claim it's racism and they made you forfeit. Throwing in the towel, moving your powers in skinny jeans when you hear or see the sirens. What's wrong with colored people? They're actually fake. The words I speak to vampires are actually stakes. What's wrong with black people? They're actually brown, saying they run this town but acting like a clown. What's wrong with colored people? They're actually fake. The words I speak to vampires are actually stakes. What's wrong with black people? They're actually brown, saying they run this town but acting like a clown. Talk is cheaper, action's cheaper. Thought you had the Molotov and street sweepers to kill pigs dead, I'm sure that's what you said. Cause from Panthers and Malcolm X is what you read. It got you nowhere and got them dead. Arguing rights in a black status shot in the head. by your own people who took a check instead of nationalizing, deciding to work for the feds. Children hungry, but they're not talking that bread. When making excuses, why from A to Z? They say they never sold out, even though they hold out. Prophet said, seat them in the back, don't get the old out. New Moors were on the way, but now we're here. Moors conscious, dress their best, not like rapping queers. Selling their soul, they go to market their bodies on the auction block, red carpet. I'm speaking what's true, but hearing I'm rude, not true. Y'all are squares like a Rubik's Cube. Always asking who's this dude. I don't catch feelings. Why push pillars if you can't catch ceilings? Too much backdoor and under table dealing. Keep that up and I'll keep trader revealing. I keep eating rappers, MCs mealing. Fire I spit, got reptilian skin peeling. What's wrong with colored people? They're actually fake. The words I speak to vampires are actually stakes. What's wrong with black people? They're actually brown, saying they run this town but acting like a clown. What's wrong with colored people? They're actually fake. The words I speak to vampires are actually stakes. What's wrong with black people? They're actually brown, saying they run this town but acting like a clown. Astro boy, the cosmic, this may be esoteric, but who knows it will feel it. Who the cap fit won't wear it, and the fest fit speak it. If you have questions, ask for more. Shorties, make your mind explore. You're more than a black man. The cock is planned, destroy a nation. Consent to being black, so the power is fiction. The effects of the Inquisition. My brown hand holds my ink in position. Sellouts exterminate you quick from my existence. If you think you can't corner our resistance, instant without thinking, I make it unbearable. Think it unthinkable. Try to battle God who honors 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. This I seek through my exodus. If I told you I was white, you'd probably say, who the f is this? Dictionary's not wrong, it's just your perspective. If the fountain says color, why you drink it? You just signed an agreement. Salute. Salute. What's wrong with colored people? They're actually fake. The words I speak to vampires are actually stakes. What's wrong with black people? They're actually brown, saying they run this town but acting like a clown. What's wrong with colored people? They're actually fake. The words I speak to vampires are actually stakes. What's wrong with black people? They're actually brown, saying they run this town but acting like a clown.
So Stang, turn my phones up a bit. Ain't no change, it's the same. You still skylarking. Most got stepdaddies like Harden. They hardened, fixed in the ways, they too hardened. Some got convictions, even if they apply. They the victims, ain't getting no pardon. Almanac is in the pen, middle finger to the warden. Free your mind, even though your body barred in. This war that I'm starting, might not want no pardon. That's what I do, that's what I do. If you're scared, stay far then. I'm prepared in, handing my card in. What they wanna call black is soot. Burns bronze on the foot, charred in. Hydrogen molecule with the carbon. If you dare take a walk through the garden, send a stage for the role that I'm starting. I'm more in Black Knight like Martin. Sword, take flight like a Martian. I'm Thor, gladiator, Spartan. Still polite, a gentleman, charming. Friends like the Red Sea when it's parting. Kundalini energy when I'm charging. Like power and the force of a car wind. You know the type when you gotta keep your arm in. Why fight when you know say you're not winning? Never ever could compare. Let's make it clear. From day one till day done, I'm here. I never fear. You never ever could compare. Let's make it clear. Been running this for nearly a year. I still prepared. Top ranking, top charting. We have it by the sticks, crates, and the cartons. The highest grade of the strain that I'm sparking. Up late nights. Johnny Carson, early mornings, remember starving, engraved in my mind. Carved in the running in the past. No harping, don't be afraid or alarmed by the barking. Keep it close by a very thin margin. Shadow box with a little bit of sparring. Cage fights when you fence, then you barbed in. No cavalry, desperado charging. Never, ever been compared. Let's make it clear. From day one till day done, I'm here. I never fear. You never, ever been compared. Let's make it clear. Been running this from year to year. I stay prepared. Cleansing the fire, don't come. That's what it's gonna go. Empty my bullets, I'm gotta go. Cleansing the fire, don't come. It's gonna go. Empty my bullets, I'm gotta go.
Moorish World TV, huh? More like Asian World TV, you dig? Tired of all these Asian provocateurs slamming the rights. That's all y'all out. We call all y'all out. Y'all out there. I smell an Asian. You smell an Asian. I smell an Asian. Yeah. You better watch it more. Like the sellouts lurking in the corner. And best with me, they coming with that folly, taking you under. I smell an Asian. You smell an Asian. I smell an Asian. Yeah. You better watch it more. Like the sellouts lurking in the corner. And best with me, they coming with that folly, taking you under. It's a shame, man. You dirty Moors, man. Trying to equate legalese the law, man. How incompetent as you can be. But it ain't no stopping the movement, cause I got the front seat. Better get your mind right. Real more than about to highlight. Real more than about to hype. Y'all just looking for the limelight. If you were really studying, you would know who is who and recognize this is more. They really think you got us together. Grab your ladies for crazy. Can you believe it? Crazy. Yeah, I know this for sure. I smell an Asian. You smell an Asian. I smell an Asian. Yeah, you better watch it more. Fight and sell out, lurking in the corner. And best with me, they coming with that folly, taking you under. I smell an Asian. You smell an Asian. I smell an Asian. Yeah, you better watch it more. Fight and sell out, lurking in the corner. And best with me, they coming with that folly, taking you under.
It's a shame, man. These dirty Moors, man. Watching all you dirties through the hairs that's crossed, man. Noble Jew, Ali, and Garvey met with Burner Cross, man. We solved the Negro problem with the Circle 7 Koran. Young Pharaoh prostitutes for the Moorish foreign substitutes. Using Sarah suit and mascot for their SETI institutes. Speaking lies, Mormons black is really from some Greek guys. Masonry is ancient Egypt, watch me speaking sleep spies. Wearing arms, wearing feathers, singing these tunes to you. FOH, Sarah, Elena, they couldn't lose to you. All Negro conscious movies, where were you at years ago? While we were studying occult and metaphysical, bet not around. Now you slander, you bums of the town. Spellbound, you dirty Moors from a Washita burial mound. Send you to the background, Moors are in the front ground. Ready to defend the teachers, anywhere is the battleground.
I smell an Asian. You smell an Asian. I smell an Asian. Yeah, I smell better. Watch it more. Fight and sell out, lurking in the corner. And best with me, they coming with that folly, taking you under. What? I smell an Asian. You smell an Asian. I smell an Asian too. Yeah, better watch it more. Fight and sell out, lurking in the corner. And best with me, they coming with that folly, taking you under.
It's loud, Moors.
Happy Holy Day to all the Moors worldwide. Happy Holy Day to all. Not sure how long we're gonna go today, but just need to get through some things. Just need to get through some things. First, stolen legacy. Stolen legacy. George G.M. James. Page 39. During the Persian, Greek, and Roman invasions, large numbers of Egyptians fled not only to the desert and mountain regions, but also to adjacent lands in Africa, Arabia, and Asia Minor, where they lived, and secretly developed the teachings which belonged to their mystery system. The conscious whoever's like to tell you that during the Persian, Greek, Roman invasions, oh my gosh, they came in and they did it, and they did this and they did that. How come they never talk about the people dispersing into other parts of the world and getting together with their other family in the world who look just like them? Because they're not on this BS like the people are today, separating themselves from being who their ancient foremothers and forefathers were. Holy Day was good until I bumped into sellouts today. And now sellouts are going to have a bad Holy Day. Because they called it on themselves. The sellouts who are telling you that they're indigenous, Aboriginal, they got feathers and they're flying turtles and all this type of stuff. But they're up in some tribe. And you ask them what's their nationality, and they're telling you some tribe is their nationality. The Egyptians fled not only to the desert and mountain regions, but also to adjacent lands in Africa, Arabia, and Asia Minor, where they lived. In the 8th century, the Moors, natives of Mauritania in North Africa, invaded Spain and took with them the Egyptian culture which they had preserved. Knowledge in the ancient days was centralized, and it belonged to a common parent system. Sounds like they're talking about honor their ancient foremothers and forefathers too. If the centralized knowledge of the ancient days belonged to a common parent and system, then that would mean that the people who gave it to them, they honor them. And that's the tradition. So the Moors, after the whole BS and the dispersion of the Egyptians, the Moors took the mantle of power, of knowledge, because knowledge is still power today. And whoever has knowledge is supreme. Simple. If you lack knowledge, you're probably subordinate. So these Egyptians were actually Moors now. Because if they dispersed, then clearly they have nowhere to go. Remember, the Moors and the Egyptians is who we're supposed to be giving the honors. Because that's the succession of the knowledge. Nobody had it after the Moors. After the Moors had it, and they so-called conquered the Moors, only in Spain though. That centralized library got dispersed, just like the Egyptians. And what you see today is based on the information that these people got when they expelled the Moors in Spain. Because remember, they were nowhere else in the world other than Europe in those times. You know, Europeans, anywhere but in those areas of the world. Because you already know everybody else was Asiatic. The first Americans were Africans. David Imhotep. Now again, going back to that same theme, the Egyptians dispersed. The Noble Drew Ali say, the Egyptians told the Moabites, you can go over there. And they became the founders and the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. Not the past Moroccan Empire. 1913, he's talking about present Moroccan Empire. Think it's not real? There's too much history on the Moroccan Empire. All these people know that it's Moors and Egyptians as far as a knowledge base. Forget where on the landmass you claiming that you're from, where your knowledge comes from. I don't care who you are, where your knowledge comes from. Everybody trace their stuff back to Kemet, Kush, Phoenicians, all that. You know where else you getting knowledge from? Because the knowledge was centralized. Everybody knew that's where you go. Nobody was hating. We're gonna be over here. We're gonna start our own school over here because we don't want people to go to the ancient mystery schools in Egypt. You know, people are traveling across the world to go there to go to school. The people who inherited that were the Moors, who you see today around you, turbans and fezzes or whatever. You're playing like you know what's up. And we're telling you that we're the Aboriginal indigenous people called Moors. We're not called Aboriginal and indigenous Atachans. We're called Moors. That's what Drew Ali found out, why he stopped calling himself Cherokee. Stop the Timothy Drew BS. We're not Cherokee. We're not European. I'm Moor. Told these Moors that they're Moors. Now I come around telling you about their Cherokee and their Iroquois and Algonquin, and that's who we are, our tribal whatever. Well, Iroquois is a nation. Yeah, nation of Indians. Now that NOI is a nation. Yeah, a nation of black Muslims. That has nothing to do with the world. You be a nation all you want. If no other nations are being part of your nation, then clearly you're full of BS. We can go around the world, and in every country in the world, there's a group of people there who either call themselves Moors, call themselves Els, call themselves Bays, or they do some type of Islamic, Arabic, metaphysical, occult, whatever. And everybody around them who knows them knows that, hey, if you want whatever, those are the guys over there. You just go to those guys. The guys with the turbans, yeah, those are the guys you talk to. Oh, the guys with the big beards, yeah, go talk to them. The first Americans were Africans. They were the Motep. Page 32. In 1681, the Indians of New England, or Moors, as they were also styled by the settlers, were pronounced by William Penn to be as black as gypsies. To be black as gypsies were these Indians, who the Europeans called them Moors. The settlers. Why do they call them Moors? Yeah, because they come from Europe. And the people who ruled Europe were dark-skinned people. And when they came over here, they saw Moors. Moors doesn't mean you're only from Morocco. Just like Moors doesn't mean that you're only Islamic. And only an idiot would tell you Moors means you're only from Morocco. Moors only means Arabic speaking only. That's incompetence. And all we're trying to do is make sure that the people think and save themselves. Drawley told you that. You're not looking for accolades and plaques and all that stuff. You know, all that. Save those stuff, buy the children something, inspire them to be great. Any dark-skinned person, especially those African Negroes who call themselves slaves and black and all that, especially them are Moors. Especially them, the African Negroes, who want to say they're indigenous and they're aboriginal. You're not. Stop this. The world is one landmass. What do you mean you're just limited to being indigenous to over here only? When ancient Native Americans, who were on this side when the land was one landmass, were traveling back and forth, no issues, because it was all their jurisdiction. And that's the limited mind that they're letting an ocean keep them separated from the rest of the world. The statement of Penn may even mean that the British gypsies of 1681 were quite black. Gypsies, those are Egyptians. Nickname for Egyptians, gypsies. Gypsies? The gypsies were so black that they reminded them of Moors. Or the Moors were so black that they reminded them of gypsies. Oh yeah, but the Moors, they call them Indians. The fact remains that we are Moors. The fact remains that we're Moors. So anything up for debate, there's no need to debate it. Noble Drew Ali was Cherokee. And he said, none of that, we're Moors. Why would he say that we're Moors? Because he'd rather be tied to a Moroccan empire than a Turtle Island. Why would you limit yourself to an island? Again, going back to the concept that you have to also consider across the Atlantic Ocean, even if you say you're indigenous here. You can't be indigenous here. Then you're talking BS about you're not African. The descendants have nothing to do with over there. What do you mean? If the world was one landmass, you have everything to do with over there. The world's still one landmass under the water. Stop being stupid. Creating division for no reason. Everybody knows that there's a Moroccan Empire. Everybody on that side of the Atlantic Ocean knows about fezzes and that it's a prestigious headwear and only princes and people in honorable positions wear this headwear. They're not talking about no Congo and all that type of stuff like that when Moors come around. Trust me, we talk with them people. And they all they do is give honors. They're not like the Negroes telling you about some Congo rubber BS. The Leopold and Moors working with the European, and they keep talking about this Moors working with the European. You know Moors working with no European. We know that there's a treaty. They ain't working with whatever. There's a treaty. So govern yourself accordingly. You're not working with them to enslave people. How you figure? When we were the masters. Stop playing around with our people. Y'all are the ones playing around. Talking about Moors are playing around with people. How are Moors playing around with people when all we're doing is telling people the truth about their birthright? And remember, Creek and Cherokee and all that BS is not a birthright. Those are tribes. Have nothing to do with birthright. Zero to do with birthright. We got more Islam to the more. Tallahassee El Bay. Tallahassee El Bay is a quote-unquote black Indian who realized about birthright, said, I ain't no goddamn Indian, tore that Indian card up. Because he's a Moor. He's a direct Indian. Like he's an Indian, used to live on the reservation, had the card and all that. 500 family members, all of them have the same name and all of that. And this Moor said, what do you mean we're not Indian? You mean all these years I have this Indian card and these people have been playing all these years? Cut that card up. Nationality is the order of the day. I'm LB. He goes back to where he comes from on the Indian stuff, and then all of them know what's up. Like, oh yeah, you know, we're Masons and stuff like that, and we know about the fence and all that stuff. So hold on. So when I wasn't a Moor, everything was secret. And then now that I'm a Moor, you guys pulling out all the stuff now? And you realize how happy Friday would have been until you bumped into a sellout. And you realize these sellouts are going to be sorry. They should have stayed in their little sellout lane. They're lying to people, making up stuff on people to try to get them to take their energy off of the fact that they're Moors and start talking about some Indian BS. Native American, autochthonous, Aboriginal, Indigenous. You give up Moroccan Empire to be that? Solely? And not rep for the Moors? When the Moors are the Aboriginal? The Moors who study and all that stuff, they already know what's up. Right? This is for example, this is for those two brothers in Jamaica who called today because they want to know about their birthrights. Because they realize that these people done sold out Jamaica or whatever, and they better protect themselves and tie themselves to a nation. And they want to declare and proclaim their nationality. Why? Because they're resonating with truth. And truth is, nationality is the order of the day. Ask anybody who's suffering. As soon as they realize that they're whatever government or whatever sold them out, they're trying to go back to what the Aboriginal and Indigenous stuff is. All of them. As soon as they realize, oh my gosh, this tyranny going on, anarchy, oh my gosh, democracy, oh my gosh, everything that wasn't founded on the principles of our civilization that are ancient for, we're going back to our ancient ways. We're going back to our ancient ways. Everybody's doing it. So Islam to the Moors in Jamaica that's coming home, that realize whatever. Make sure you go up and talk to the Bobos and the Maroons and all the people who are on the frequency. Get them on that nationality is the order of the day. That it's not about playing this from Africa only and not from over here, or from here only and not from over there. Because the landmass is still connected underwater. So it's still Pangea. Don't worry about the pond over there. You get 500-foot waves and stuff like that. Don't worry about that. You're on the mainland. You're good right now. Until you're in that, nothing to worry about that. Just know that your brothers and sisters from the east are in the west. And they're willing to assist you. But only if you have nationality and all that stuff. That they're not about assisting Negroes, blacks, coloreds, indigenous, Indians. They're not about it. And it's people's lives that we're dealing with. It's people's lives. People out here going through the ringer. And then they meet a good Moor and they build with that Moor, and all of a sudden that ringer is a little loose. You know, and they build some more, and then it gets a little bit more loose. Because they start thinking. You start realizing that they've been told They start going back in the photo album and they're starting to see turbans and fezzes and stuff like that, and they're saying, well, how did we miss this? Just like the Moor. First time it hit me. The Moor that we did the video for, Sean Gummer. His middle name is Michael. Now, I've known him since high school. Since high school, he's been telling me that we're Moors. His middle name is Mikhail. Missed it. Since high school, missed it. Came conscious, whatever, still missed it. Just the other day, poured out the liquor on his grave, thing like, oh my gosh, this guy's very Michael. Slaps. Of course, he's there, you know, with the other ascended masters laughing. Because it's kind of funny when you realize that the ancestors been talking to you and you've been missing it forever. Just hit you that they've been telling you since high school. They've been telling me, hey, you know you're L, but we're not even gonna bring that up. You just call him by the popular name. You telling me that we're L for so long, but now I know. And the wool. We're seeing people getting pulled over their eyes. We're trying to do like Baron Davis, put the hole in it, so you don't see us putting the hole in it, so that you could see a little bit through the wool. So you have to front like, you know, you don't know what we're talking about and stuff like that. But these people would lynch you. You start telling them about their Moors and your Moors and all that stuff. All these Negroes, blacks, indigenous, whoever's, they will go hard against you, harder than the European. You telling them that you're Moors. 8 out of 10 Europeans, when they find out that you're a Moor, they're gonna talk some BS about, oh, you found out. The hell do you mean? But you know, because they're European, diverse nationality. So they don't have to tell you unless you ask. We learned that one from Brother Sheldon L. He been known people. He's telling them that he's a Moor, and they're telling him, yeah, we know. What do you mean you know? You never told me. You never asked. Really? That's where you're going. I never asked if I'm a Moor, so you weren't telling. That's how Europeans play. Know exactly what they're doing. Because again, it's all about escape the law of retribution. They know how to dodge the law of retribution. They dodge that very well. Because we don't think. So they can pull game on us. No. Mohawk attachons. Everybody got mohawk and feathers. Everybody. Mohawk and feathers. But they got nothing to do with Moors. You got nothing to do with morals, right? And remember, over there knows about over here too being connected to over there, so it's all one spot. And if you're talking about east-west, over there's east, over here's west. Like west isn't over there in the east. Like, you know when you read the stuff and then they say the West did something? Okay, the West didn't really do anything because Europeans are from the East. But they can't see the East did something. Because if they say the East did something, then you're going to be looking at them weird because, you know, the East isn't Europeans. That's the game they play. So the West to the East is over here, not over there. Like, quote unquote, West Africa is still East. Southwest Africa is still Southeast Africa. Because over here is the western part of Africa, which is why Morocco's over here, and Mauritania is over here, and Tunis is over here. Because when you cut out the stuff and you put it together like a puzzle, you can see that the West Africa and the North Africa is over here. No rocket science. So that's one landmass. Oh, you don't want to hear what Mars is saying. You don't believe more. Okay, cool. Let's go to the number one bestseller. The number one bestseller, When Rocks Cry Out, Horace Butler. When Rocks Cry Out, Horace Butler. Page 55. The god was conducted in peace to the beautiful West. Priests had accompanied Taharka to the beautiful West. Modern scholars responded that, quote-unquote, the West was simply an Egyptian term for a region on the west bank of the Nile River in northeast Africa. The west bank of the Nile River. If I had not been familiar with Sahagun's forbidden histories, Taharka's trip to the beautiful West might not have stirred any excitement within me. However, I had digested Sahagun's account, and I suspected that Taharka had died and the Egyptian priests were taking him to the beautiful West, to America, for burial. I knew that description, beautiful West, could never be a description of the bare torn hills and caves on the western side of the Nile River. I was not sure where in the Americas Taharka was taken for buried, but there was one city that seemed a good candidate. Why? On Allah's green and brown and blue earth. Would some Egyptian priests bring a pharaoh to the beautiful West to bury them? Unless this is sacred grounds over here, because you already know that to quote-unquote Aboriginal and indigenous people, burial grounds are sacred. Burial grounds are sacred. Now, again, these Egyptian priests are taking the Pharaoh's body from over there to bring the body over here to bury it here. Is it clear what's going on? What the world knows? Don't let the fakes try to take your attention away from the fact that it is about nationality and birthrights right now. It is about nationality and birthrights right now. If you're not interested in nationality and birthrights, then you're on your own. In the earlier chat, Amor brought up something about constitutions and courts. I just wanted to put on the record once again Article 7 of the Zodiac Constitution. The Moorish Americans' freedom and legal rights while in the Christian Union courtroom. In the Christian Union courtroom, the Moors cannot be forced to remove their red fez from their heads, nor can they be forced to raise their hand and take an oath over the Christian Bible. Neither can the Moors, the Bays and L's, employ white or Negro lawyers to represent them. The reason for this is that white people and their Negro slaves definitely cannot represent free Moorish Americans. Remember, this is CMB talking. The Negro is the property of the Union slaveholders. The Moors must respect the court by saying, "I affirm." Here, the court has no jurisdiction over them, which automatically makes them qualified to defend themselves by their Zodiac Constitution law and their mathematical number 9. The number 9 corresponds with the letter I, based on the 9 months from conception to birth, which makes you, yourself, the great I am. The first and highest law of self-protection and self-preservation in harmony with your Zodiac 12 signs, unchanged constitution moral law of 360 degrees squared by your number 9. The Moorish Zodiac Constitution is referred to in the Christian Mason mythology as the Holy Quran or Al-Quran, meaning earth, moon, sun, and the 7 planets, or the chronology zodiac record of the Moorish nation of the North Gate, North America. The name Muhammad, prophet, religion, God, church, temple, and mosque were established by the Dutch Anglo-Saxon priesthood Franciscan fathers of North America, who overthrew the Moorish Society of Islam between 1789 and the Union of 1863. The Moors, the Bays and L's, must never attempt to teach or lecture in the Christian institutions, namely church, temple, mosque, school, and hall. This is a violation of the Union Society States' Right Magna Carta Code of Mary and Christ. The truth of the Moorish Zodiac Constitution law and moral human principle definitely conflicts with the Christian Union customs and doctrine of the Magna Carta from every single angle. Nor do not criticize the white people's belief in the religion of their sun and women image, nor do not ever attempt to influence the white people to accept the Zodiac constitutional law. Something's missing there. White people's economic and social attraction only, which had its beginnings in the colonies of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and Illinois in 1848, and in 1854 and will end in 1954. Wassalamu alaikum. Assalam. Moorish Latin, which means, and with you be peace. Islam. If the lawmakers of the 48 Union States of North America should attempt to ignore the Moorish American zodiac law and birthrights of this Constitution, it would be an act of supreme violation of their own Magna Carta Code. Supreme standard of the zodiac. Okay. So it's really not about being in those courts, because the way he's talking, those type of courts aren't around right now. All these places are administrative buildings, and they're about raping you any way that they can. So know that there's added on things that you have to highly consider when you're talking about exercising your quote-unquote constitutional rights. Because there's only criminals out here. There's no governments. All these governments are corporations. They even call themselves that. Right? And yeah, Habits for Life, season 2, all about birthrights. Right? All about birthrights. You think they're not trying to tell these people something? Like we said, they could have got some real Jamaicans to act in it, because the voiceover sucked. The voiceover was not good Yardie talk at all. Horrible. Even the blood clots were off. Everything was off. But the storyline was crazy. Bushmaster. Right? So now even if we use him as an example, Bushmaster, once you know what your birthrights are, ain't nobody getting you off your birthrights. This Moore's from an island, and he said mainland is his birthright. He's not really no island. What island? What do you mean island is the jurisdiction? Island's not the jurisdiction. Turtle Island. It's not the jurisdiction. There's an empire that supersedes that. And to give up the empire for the island, that's incompetence. That's worse than being a sellout. That's just straight incompetence. Because they should know better. They should definitely know better than to be claiming some island as a jurisdiction. Right? Just like certain people claiming they're mad. They're mad because they're getting exactly what they deserve for not teaching the people about Moors. While knowing about it. Know about it, but don't teach the people about Moors. Right? And then the people so dumbed down that they're not even thinking for themselves to see that they're getting played. So August 1st, 2018, In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Nation of Islam official statement on Netflix cancellation. August 1st, 2018. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan produced a documentary entitled My Life's Journey Through Music. As late as July 30th, 2018, Netflix published that this documentary would be coming August 1st on its media platform. On July 31st, 2018, less than 24 hours before the airing of the documentary, the Nation of Islam became aware through news and online outlets that Netflix decided not to air it due to internal miscommunication. The Nation of Islam has been informed of what was the alleged internal miscommunication. The timing of Netflix's decision at the 11th hour to cancel the airing of the documentary affected millions of potential viewers and raises more questions than answers. In light of this untimely sequence of events, did Netflix bow to outside forces in canceling the airing of the documentary? Why would they bow to outside sources when the black Muslims are in King Alfred plan as associates with keeping the people deaf, dumb, and blind? The black Muslims are Nation of Islam, right? If I'm not mistaken. So if the black Muslims are agents of King Alfred plan, why would Netflix bow to outside forces in canceling the airing of the documentary when Netflix outside forces that they're bowing to are the same people who are in control and charge of all the black agents? Did media pressure contribute to this result? Why would there be media pressure? Because if I was Minister Louis Farrakhan and I'm coming out with a documentary about my life's journey through music, why wouldn't I use one of the Nation of Islam guy platforms and air the documentary on that? Like, why would you go to Netflix, who probably is not an Asiatic black man and all that? And those are the same people that you're always complaining about violating you, but then you're going to them to debut your stuff. When you have so-called Nation of Islam media platforms that you could use to air the documentary. Why are you mad because Netflix won't pick it up? Why are you mad? Weren't you guys the same guys who these people blackballed and black labeled and all that type of stuff because you were talking about some Jew whatever and you're pretending now like this is the first time people don't like you guys? You're still talking to BS, or they're against you trying to spread the truth or whatever. What truth? What truth are you spreading? I don't need to see a documentary to know that you're sugarcoating, because you should have had the big convention to tell all these people that they're Moors already. Should have been did it. But we'll put this out there once again. We'll put this out there once again. Because if they're going to play around like we don't know that they're King Alfred plan, and that their job is to keep the people Negro, black, colored, just like King Alfred Plant said that the agent's job is. Not give these people any light, keep them in darkness. And anytime they give people light, it's placation. It's never for the sincere wanting their people to be free like they are. They always have to be freer than their people. That's why we don't ride with certain unity programs, because you cannot unify with people who are sellouts that are openly selling you out. They consulted with me in a private meeting and indicated that they had come into concern for your well-being and your safety in your return trip to the USA. They gave me a briefing on their views and literature. The presiding Moorish sheiks gave us an excellent presentation on their teachings and their views on your situation. As examples, Jesse Jackson and Muhammad Ali. Bottom line, there was a need for you to be naturalized as a Moorish American to escape the legal jurisdiction of the U.S. government actions against you. Much detailed information, quite well documented, was presented and papers for the naturalization process. I met with the Moorish sheiks accompanied by your legal counsel, Sister Ava Muhammad, who wanted to evaluate the legal merit of the Moorish position. Under the new crescent moon and star in the western sky, still red with the sunset, I felt the spirits of Noble Drew Ali and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I feel something very, very special has occurred in the reunification of the Moorish Science Temple and the marriage with our allies. And that's the letter to Minister Farrakhan when they were trying to find out about, you know, is this Moorish stuff some real stuff? And then they went to Temple 13 and organized their stuff for the leader and anybody else. Listen, if people are 5500X, they never got their permission form yet to get a holy name. How come? Still, they never got a holy name yet? They still never got. Oh, they're playing. They're playing. We keep telling you, go check Yusuf Bey. Yusuf Bey. Nation of Islam, Yusuf Bey. Yusuf Bey. How come he got a holy name? And how come his holy name is Bey? How come Ali? How come Cassius Clay got a holy name and his is Ali? How come Fard got a holy name and his name is Allah? It's very obvious. It's extremely obvious. Now what's up? We're telling you, don't listen to these people. Remember the tribal people that we're telling you about? Right? Europeans did not introduce slavery to this continent. Many, though not all, of the native groups in the land that later became the United States and Canada, practiced slavery before Europeans arrived. Really? Remember, they keep telling you that the Moors are the ones that did it. Oh, no. Oh, no. The Moors were busy enslaving Europeans to be worrying about enslaving their cousins. Just eating some berry and breeding horses. Just want to be tribal. Just remember Django on the horse riding through the plantation with the picking cottoners? Okay, imagine Django on the horse riding through an Indian reserve. That's how it was with the Moors and these so-called tribal whoever's that don't want to recognize that there's an empire. Native tribes, in their diversity, did not have a uniform approach to enslavement. Given America's propensity to collapse all native people together, this bears reiterating. Many of those traditions also changed when tribes began to contend with the European presence. There are many slaveries, and colonialism brings different slaveries into contact with one another. Historian Christian Snyder, who wrote A History of Native Slavery in the Southeast, told me, contact pushed native practices to change over time as tribes contested or adapted to European demands. So the tribes were the ones who were listening to the European. The tribes were the ones who were bringing them in. The tribes were the ones who were taking you more, selling you to the European, reclassifying you as Negro, because remember, they were the ones that were saying that they're cool with people being called Negro. The Black Indians were cool with people being called Negro. They weren't fighting that. Why? Because they were content being called Indian. Injun. Injun with no train tracks. But they're engines. There's no train tracks anywhere, but they're engines. Black engines too. Native types of enslavement were often about kinship, reproductive labor, and diplomacy, rather than solely the extraction of agriculture or domestic labor. The difference between these slaveries and European bondage of Africans was great. Historian Pekka Hamelian, in his 2009 book, The Comanche Empire, writes of Comanche uses of slavery during their period of dominance of the American Southwest between 1750 and 1850. The Comanche exercised hegemony in part by numerical superiority, and enslavement was part of that strategy. Hamelian writes that Comanches put captives through a rigorous process of enslavement, a dehumanizing initiation that brought a non-Comanche captive into the tribe through renaming. Same thing they're trying to do today, aren't they? Telling you that you're not Moors, telling you that you're some Indian tribe. Same stuff they're doing right now. 2018. These same sellouts who sold your ancient foremothers and forefathers into slavery to these Europeans, that's lying to you today, telling you that the Moors were the ones who did the treaty because the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. When you go check treaties, you see that all the treaties this European had were with these so-called $5 Indians that are really Moors, but they don't want to be Moors. They don't want to be free people. They want to be wards. A dehumanizing initiation that brought a non-Comanche captive into the tribe through renaming, tattooing, beating, whipping, mutilation, and starvation, but stipulates that once a person was enslaved, there were varying degrees of freedom and privileges she or he could attain. That's the same thing they're doing today when they make you join their tribe of whatever BS, and now you're subordinate to them when you're supposed to be free. How are you free, but you live on a reserve and your chief lives in a house off the reserve, and his house is a mansion, and you turn on your tap and brown stuff is coming out, where your chief drives a Ben and he drinks from a alkaline flask? You're talking about you're a tribe, and then the world's supposed to take you serious because you're a tribe. Yeah. Stop letting these people play you. You had a prophet. You had a prophet. You abandoned him for all these fakers who in the background, they're going and getting L and B and they're doing naturalization and all this type of stuff. And you're sitting here playing around debating Moors. Your favorite rapper came out, said that he's a Bay or a L or a Moor or whatever. But you're debating Moors. Your favorite actor and actress had a picture of Noble Drew Ali in their movie, or called somebody a blackamoor, or got called a blackamoor, or whatever in a movie, but you're debating Moors. And anything Moors say, you got some type of thing to put up against it to try to shut down the Moors and all this type of stuff. When that's not real. Oh yeah. And that little quote came out of an article called America's Other Original Sin by Rebecca Onion. Rebecca Onion, America's Other Original Sin. So Islam Wars, just want to do a short one today. Put some stuff out and then put the word out. We'll be back on Sundays. So Sunday class, we're going to be back up 1 p.m. You can get the word out so people know it's going to be Q&A. So if you have any questions, please email your questions. Canaanlandguide, CANAANLANDGUIDE @gmail.com. Canaanlandguide@gmail.com. And we'll be answering your questions when next class hits, which is Sunday. We also have to remind you about next weekend. I already got a few calls already, so Moors are looking forward to the lecture over at Riverside. If you want any information, Rise of the Moors, riseofthemoors.com, or riseofthemoors@gmail.com. riseofthemoors@gmail.com. This Saturday coming up next week, the 11th, we're going to be out near Rhode Island with the Rise of the Moors. Crazy how these people Well, we're not even going to say anything yet with them trying to stop the stuff, but crazy. But it's because of the good work that we're doing. So Rise of the Moors presents the sellout of our birthright and conscious community connections. Message to new Moors with eyes wide open. Riverside Branch Library, 475 Bullocks Point Avenue, Saturday, August 11th, 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. riseofthemoors@gmail.com. Any questions or whatever like that, hit them up and they'll be glad to assist. And any Moors in Canaanland, class on Sunday, as well as class being on Sunday. Don't forget, all the Moors that are honorary members, keep in mind it's the beginning of the month. You got your donations, you can send those in. MST of A, period, do for nation 7, DOFORNATION, and then number 7 at gmail.com. MST of A, period, do for nation 7 at gmail.com. And again, any questions, canaanlandguide at gmail.com. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to the Moors that are waking up every day. Honors to Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet. Honors to the forerunner, Marcus Garvey. Praises due to Allah. May everybody's holy day be complete with supreme balance and universal posterity. Stay true, Moors. Victory is sure. Islam to all. Islam to all.
Forget what those cats talking about. Go to rvbaypublications.com. Canaanland Moors on YouTube. Taj Tariq Bay. The Bird Bay. New Nagiel. Renowned Royalty. Ramiel Bay. MoorsDirectory.com. And the list goes on and on. We are for the uplifting of fallen humanity. For real.
Why you don't pull up on the passenger side of the police car and bust on the police instead of your brother? I've never heard of it. You say you're a gangster?
Black power my ass, y'all just playing the ass posing, frontin', no bustin', no dirty cock gun button. At least Moore's right rich, trying to do something. Pen as my weapon, feathers up and turbans, no bluffing. Don't get it twisted, sort of more get handcuffing. Judges dismiss cases, prosecutors cussing, telling my guys accuse themselves or get sued. Civil right leaders, unconscious blacks marching on news, stopping traffic, or people that didn't kill their sons and daughters. In Canaanland, we call you brighten out of order. Nationality has me awake like a sleep disorder. While most wear blinders, my peripherals broader. For the record, I sweat nervous quarters. In Admiralty, maritime shores, Moors walk on water. Ancients return with other kills, no sight blurred. While they stay killing their minds and saying they learn.
Why you don't pull up on the passenger side of the police car and bust on the police instead of your brother? I've never heard of it. You say you're a gangster.
Your forefathers I named before they became slaves. Seems like today it's only nicknames and pain. Usually learning so pain could stop from these vermin. German Nazi Inquisition is enslaving with sermons. Declared independence, still giving Moors reverence. Talking trees with Muslims that over office entrance. To the entrance masses, keep them docile and passive. Killing them, corralling blacks, acting like hostile fascists. take oaths to break them, unless it's from the Lord. They give prophets who take them and neglect ancestors. Playing Mr. Coffee, smoking a Dutch from the same master, bully stealing your money for lunch. Wanna drink from their bowl cause they spike their punch. With Clorox, I'm not guessing, but I have a hunch. I can say I stand up to mercenary punks while you face proposing with blocks cocked and shotguns pumped.
Why you don't pull up on the passenger side of the police car and bust on the police instead of your brother? I've never heard of it. You say you're a gangster.
If you got guns and use them on targets moving, try KKK badge carriers in your hood cruising. I'm not promoting violence, it's a point I'm proving. Moore's methods do work, raccoons disapproving. Khalid calling you out, but you're attacking the sheep and wanna show me how good you are with your hands and feet. Never challenge a cop when they arresting your brother, or will wear hoods and hold skittles one after another. Acting with lethal weapons, email Gibsons and gloves. Shot in the back and watching you suffer. Black standing on corners in seconds like smothered. She forgave him for his son's death, but listen to mother. Listen to common exercising his 5 senses. To end racism, stop looking through racial lenses. Look at constitutional, not civil defenses. Stop marching. The only thing that pickets is fences.
Why you don't pull up on the passenger side of the police car and bust on the police instead of your brother? I've never heard of it. You say you're a gangster. Why you don't pull up on the passenger side of the police car and bust on the police instead of your brother? I've never heard of it. You say you're a gangster. I've never heard of it.
On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When the truth gets revealed, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. On the real, on the real. When I uplift the fallen humans from the ashes, the phoenix will rise and live on after it clashes. Feathers and head wraps, costume bar sashes. Atlantis and Pangea was us ruling the atlas. The mundane, some god and numb brain. True that is reincarnate, some self-proclaimed. Taking the lessons from Quran questions. Bible as my rolling pad, holy book, circle 7. Forerunner Marcus Garvey coming in the whirlwind. Moorish Bobo Muftis in the black turban. Pioneer exposed as the triple crown glows. Every Negus has the Negus as his throne. The temple as the body. Truth as Mashadi with no bulge. I'm still armed without the robbery. Master arts martial and they marshal the law. Peace offers abuse authority. Fracture your jaw. Clapping at y'all at bachelor parties. Not knowing whether it's controlled by HAARP. Stopping the tapping of UH frequency. Sent to the higher self from Sirius B or maybe Sirius A. The reverse is serious internet radio play. Like square shreddies are now dominant new. Misleading, they charge a bill 50 for a shoe. It takes $5 to make. They load trucks with bins. Same goes for cars, construction tims. So clean, no scuffs. Revolution chumps, reclining in the armchair, speechless like monks. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. On the real, All these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. Change is coming. I'm watching hybrids running for shade, cause Earth's hot, not like a preheat oven. Raid the stores for UV protection. If AIDS can go through the condoms, who you protecting? Neglecting the truth and lie accepting. Not in for be a person, reparations expecting. Planes going down, but you're not ejecting. Too busy flossing with the spinning rims and white feet is flexing. Fronts are fake elements, that's not real gold. Running from police with guns is not too bold, cause you got a gun but won't shoot back, son, or shoot first and earn your way off earth. Suicide is a sin and sin is ignorance. Not thinking clear makes you ignorant. Missing the message. Ego filling your brain with nonsensical thoughts just to drive you insane. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. Our leaders labeled black, they were assigned to us. As ancients, we flew. We didn't have to ride the bus or drink at their fountain. We didn't even need our own. The gun is a penis and every man is holding a chrome. Thinking it's tough, but when you shoot, you bust. Like Vixen's holding you in with the camel of clutch. Smoking a Dutch, but taught much against the master. Sellouts will pay karmic debt in the life after. Don't believe me, seek the truth. I hear Hail Hitler when I play back these hip-hop loops that rap hip-hop. Nas said it's dead. Same gun he raps about shot J in the head. Cripple a team. These ball players, they cripple a dream. Counting the asses that they slap but won't get a bad rap. And rap sheets are written by them. It's police, not following Moors, but niggas booming in their Jeeps. Europeans on the bus, they acting like niggas. Straight off the plantation, looking like J Hill figure. From the foreigner, you'll never get compensated. This armor you man saying he's strapped, you've been miseducated. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When the truth gets revealed, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. On the real.